This conference will now be recorded.
Apparently,
They know what to do.
she apparently does a lot better at school.
Well, she's not. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have none.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next item is our Human Resource Department.
Being the supervisor, this is my first time coming to this. I will be reporting the HR monthly report for the month of August. The city hired 18 new employees, 7 promotions, and 22 exits. Our turnover rate for the month of August is 4.8%. For the year so far, it is 28.38%. Our vacancy rate is 21.89%. Payroll count for the month of August, as of August 23rd, 2024 through September 5th, 2024 was 636 total employees paid. 2 were out on leave without pay and 2 on workers' comp. And I stand for any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Next item number 7. Consider recommendation authorized for a public hearing. Consider adopting ordinance amending the dedication of a municipal local option gross receipts tax. Counselor.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, this is actually 2 ordinances consolidated. They do the exact same thing, which is why they're posted together. If they are sent to city council, they'd be split apart. So we have a GRT bill that's 1/16 from 1992 and a quarter-cent tax from 1986. Predates your council. In any case, when these were passed, they were tied to roads, water, and general fund. The state in 2017 stopped making that distinction. So this simply puts us in conformity with the state's practice.
Creates a little less work.
That's, yeah, the county department, every budget, for the 2.5 I've been here for, they ask, well, how are we supposed to split this? And I say, well, just put it all in general fund. It's what the state says. And then they proceed to do something different. But
the ordinance is out there. That's unfortunate, but
right.
It goes away.
But yeah, so this does not change any receipts we get or the uses of sub receipts. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the last 2 we've got.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Started, Mr. Wolf.
I can make the approval ordinance 24-XX. Consider recommending to authorize to advertise for a public hearing. Consider adopting proposal ordinance 24-XX. Both amending the dedication of a municipal local option gross receipts tax.
Any further discussion?
Consent agenda?
No, it's got to go regular agenda.
It can go consent for advertising.
For advertising, you can go to consent, okay. Alter your
So
amendment to put it on consent, or do you want to leave it where it's at?
put it on the consent. Put it on the consent agenda.
Okay,
Second.
all those in favor, for discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, being none, so moved. Next item. Recommendation to authorize for public hearing to consider adopting proposed ordinance amending the dedication of municipal local option gross receipts tax. And that's on page 65 of your packet. And brought this to just draw this up as something that we have talked about, actually passed this ordinance, but never, it was not enacted upon in the ordinance. This has to do with our public safety tax that we had put into place. And what this ordinance alters the original ordinance, which did not have a dollar limit in there, of what we would collect in that fund. It didn't say anything to that effect. And it just said the money would just sit there. And so I know there was discussion about $5 million, and there was discussion about what to do after you reach the 5 million, but the original ordinance did not address that. This ordinance here is intent to allow, put $3 million in there. That's open for anybody to discuss. So you got to start somewhere. And then the remaining funds can be used for the public safety needs of the community. However, it fits into the general, then those funds would flow into the general fund. And then they would be absorbed into our general budget. So what this does is then set aside a base amount when we do get into the ambulance business. So that it's not depleted and you have to start all over again. We just haven't transferred these funds. So. Councilor Ford.
So, well, you explained it, we just take anything over $3 million, put it in the general fund, or is it restricted?
I think you've got to, well, we need to discuss that then. If you want to say, okay, then you need to say, well, this is what we're going to use these funds for. Take it out of that fund and move it to the general fund for that specific item. Is that what you're addressing or?
So the way I would describe it, so there's 3 buckets. It can never be used outside of public safety or ambulance, period. So in step 1 is pay for the ambulance service, so $1.5 million. Step 2, we need at least a $3 million a savings account in the event we have to purchase about that much worth of ambulance equipment. And then part C, police, fire, ambulance, consolidated dispatch. And those would all, they may be, and if it's not spent for that, it just stays in the fund. So there's no general reversion to the general fund. It always has to be public safety money.
Well, I read this first. And it looked to me like you're just moving to the fund. And I looked at it again and saw that there was some restriction. And I agree, the original ordinance, but it was, if I recall correctly, amended in city council meeting. And that's where we get the $5 million.
That's what was discussed at that point in time. Part was never put in ordinance.
Part C of the draft ordinance just restores what part D was amended from.
Okay. I'm good.
And then, Mr. Chair, I think this would technically have to be referred to finance because it would require a budget adjustment. Or there's a budget consideration because what
Right. You're not. It shouldn't matter.
I'll get it on the agenda. Put it on the agenda? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll get handled.
We don't slow this process down.
No.
Okay.
It'll be on the next city council meeting.
It'd be so much easier when you guys are at that meeting.
What he just admitted to, they won't be as thorough as you. Don't leave the door open for us.
Mr. Chairman, heard the attorney mention the police fire dispatch, something to consider, maybe adding to the emergency management.
Yeah, I think that it says public safety. And so
It's a very broad base statement in there, public safety. Yeah.
Will we ever get part of that salary paid by the state, part of it paid by the county, that this paid by the part, then that brings up the general fund?
Okay,
You good?
I'm good. I'm ready to do a motion. It's my turn.
It's your turn.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move that we got where I am here. Number 9, that we pass
No,
this,
No,
8.
Number 8.
number 8.
Yeah, we're going to pass this out to Finance Committee, ordinance 24XX, authorizing to advertise for public hearing considering adoption of this ordinance. And we're amending the so-called public safety.
Amending ordinance 2310.
Yeah,
Second.
Any further discussion?
and it needs,
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Next item we have on the agenda is item number 9, which is to authorize to advertise for a public hearing, amending chapter 6 of the city code, page 60. Yay.
I need somebody to keep me on hand. Me too. Oh, really?
Slap your hand.
Okay.
Okay, so who wants to take this on? We want Councilors Cavan and Alverson to take this on?
Yeah,
I mean, they're both here.
I mean, I'd hate to deprive them of the ability to speak.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Whoa.
He was quick. That was quick on you there, Mr. Cavan.
So we got to where we were having this conversation back 10 days ago about some of the condemned buildings that we have. And we've got some of our folks that are working on stuff like that. And so the permitting fees that the former, or I shouldn't say the former, but city council, before I was on the city council, waived permitting fees, and they made it $1 so that, make it easier to build houses and things like that. Well, you guys had a sunset deal on that for 1 year. And so that is sunsetted. Now you're back to permit fees that are costly. But if we've got somebody who is wanting to go in and take a condemned facility and renovate and put it back into play, then we should give them that opportunity to go back and pay that $1 permitting fee on what they're having to do. And the reason for that is one of the things, the permitting fees, that's an income for the city on building new houses and new construction and stuff like that. But on these condemned buildings, if we don't do this and somebody doesn't take that project on, now we are going to be looking at what it's going to cost to do the demo work on that property. And any property, from one property to the next, it could be 30,000 here, it could be 50,000 there, it could be 100,000. I mean, all likelihood is that the property that we've been talking about for a number of years, there on McGaffey and Sunset, the apartment complex, Town Plaza. I mean, the likelihood of somebody being able to go in there and actually do a renovation job and stuff. But if we end up having to do the demo work on that property, we're probably going to have to put that out to the public to vote on that, because that's going to be a $2, $3, maybe even a $4 million project to take that down. And it's a safety issue. It is. And so if we can put this out there where it's beneficial to us and the contractor to be able to go in there and actually do a renovation, restoration on these condemned properties, that's a win for us, really and truly in the long run. So I think it's a good idea. Councilor, Mayor Pro Tem, we were talking about earlier, putting a 5-year sunset on it, which I'm good. Put a 5-year sunset on it. And 5 years from now, when you have a new city council or new mayor or whatever, then they can come back and redress it. And if it wasn't something that is appropriate or beneficial to the city, then at that point in time, they can go ahead and stop that ordinance at that point in time in 5 years, or they can reenact it and keep it going if it's something that is beneficial to the city of Roswell and to the citizens. Because some of these places, I mean, really in these neighborhoods can be really, I mean, you can go board them up all you want to and leave them up, but people are still breaking into them. And I've seen some of the video and some of the pictures of some of the insides of these places. You're just like going, oh my goodness, what the hell? I mean, almost looking at some of this stuff makes you want to throw up. I mean, and I've seen a lot of this stuff because I used to work for Karen Schooley on stuff with rental property. And I mean, it can be really, really and ugly and nasty, but once they're condemned, now it's on us and we've got liens on it. And so if we're having to do the demo on it, that's costly to us at the city level. So I'm all for it and I appreciate our conversation with Councilor Halverson and staff. They think it's pretty much of a no-brainer for us to help save the city some money on the demo work.
I do say, yeah, I agree with him because it could be beneficial to us because we get houses that are condemned and cleaned up. I know Toby, and you too, there's no money to pay for I mean, there's one particular I'm thinking of on Orchard. He just bought it and he had to pay the whole permit fees, but it's a horrible, and I've had complaints since I've been a council on this property. Now that he's taken it over, I'm thrilled, but if we could make it more of these condemned houses would be refurbished, I think that's just benefit.
Yeah, I think there's other councils have had that same conversation about moving ahead with something of this order. One thing that does concern me, because we have people, and Toby, you correct me, that you'll go out and want to condemn a property and then they'll pull a permit. And then that stops the process. And we don't want to be able to duplicate that same fault that we have inside them being able to pull a permit that you gave them for free and it stops and then they don't do anything.
Is there a time, do you check on?
Because we've had that happen numerous times where people will pull a permit when Toby's going to condemn a property and stops the process.
As soon as they get the confirmation letter, that's when they want to make progress. That's when they want to make contact.
But how long do they have with the?
It's 60 days.
I think it's 60 days.
60 days.
Well, with
We're
this
talking
order,
about this here, though, we're talking about,
it has to be condemned before they can actually do that.
right, but I'm just saying, if somebody comes in and pulls these permits on a condemned property, they got to go buy the property from whomever is condemned. They got to go through that process. It's got to then be moved to their name to get this permit, so that they're going out and buying that. But do you want them to be able to just sit there, okay, I bought that property and
They have 60 days.
not do anything?
They have 60 days for the permit. So they're making progress.
Yes. What have they show no progress, they will cancel.
So Toby, can they pull a permit a second time or a third time? Or is it just one time only?
And mostly just one time, give them that chance. Like I said, if they make progress, then we start extending it. But if they don't, have to end it. Because if you don't, then it's never good.
Yeah.
So in that case, if we go to that, it's been condemned, someone owns it, bought it, and then they sell it to somebody else, they come in and get a permit to,
Well, then we have to start the process again. We have to condemn it in their name.
well, but it's,
You could have flippers
my
on.
thinking process is this is condemned building until it has been restored. So someone buys it, gets the permit, doesn't do anything with it, well, it's still condemned until, so if they sell it while it's still condemned, it's still condemned.
Yes.
So now you can start that permit process over with whoever bought it, if they are interested in doing that. But once again, it doesn't matter whether it's Joe or Bob or whoever, if there's suddenly it's the third person who bought it, and that third person finally decides that they're actually going to do something with it, that's when it's of value for them. But it's condemned until it's brought up to code.
Yes.
Exactly.
Put a limit on it.
If it is resold multiple times, is there a limit on that free permit?
I was gonna say, put a limit.
No.
Like,
That's,
is it-
I think
Because what's going to happen, flip,
You sell it to the town and then the other grants.
flip it.
I say put a limit.
it's for that property, and if it's condemned,
You say it could take months if this guy sells it to this guy, to this guy, to this guy.
there still has to be progress on it.
Yeah.
Counselor, you had something you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think there's not really much we can do. I mean, we do sometimes see transfer of title schemes, but that's pretty infrequent. And it takes a level of sophistication that people are going to get around our permitting fees one way or the other. I would just suggest, say, insert the word first after the word any. So any first building permits inspection fees. That way, it's similar to what we did with the last one. So you only got one of each.
The house only gets one.
Yeah.
The house only gets one, or the owner of
The owner would, because like I anticipating the number of, I mean, Toby can answer, how many houses do we get where the ownership starts waterfalling?
For instance, there was
There's
one
only-
over here on north of.
It's one a year maybe?
Yeah, it's not that often. But we had one on the 1800 block of North Missouri. Gentleman sold it to some guy on the internet. The guy came down and seen it. And he didn't want nothing to do with it, so he flipped it to somebody else without telling them it was condemned. And now that house is still up there.
Still condemned, and still, we're having to probably tear it down at a cost.
But I think we'll handle a vast majority of cases then if we go any first building permits all the way down, and after $1, insert comma and put per owner. So if I buy it, sell it to Bob, Bob gets one, and then Bob sells it to me, we're both maxed out now. So it'll stop the father-son or the cousin transfer.
But it's all dedicated to that one property, so that's it.
Same time or just let it go.
No, let's do two separate amendments. Let's do two separate amendments, makes it cleaner.
Okay, what do we do?
Here, instead of the $1 permit, that's just raising like to $24. The only reason I'm saying is because when we had a $1 permit going out,
Yeah.
people were coming and paying with a debit card.
Oh,
Instead of making money.
exactly.
That's just a suggestion.
Well, no,
$24 is the cheapest that it goes. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah, yeah.
Amend my motion to
Irma, for the record, after the word any, insert the word first. Delete $1, make it $24. And after $24, put a comma and put per owner, period.
You know what's frustrating, Toby? I've been after these guys in Albuquerque for a building for over a year now. I mean, it's a terrible building. It's over next to Subway on Second, between Featherstone building.
Yep, the old Union.
Yeah, and I've been on them trying to buy it from them. They don't, I mean, and now people are breaking into it. It's opened up. So is there anything we could do about, I mean, I know y'all are tied up. I mean, I feel for you guys, but I know I see homeless walking in the front door because they done broke in the windows, went in, now they got the front door open. What can we do to keep them out of there? I mean, I don't want the building no more.
The people that are the property owners. And I told them what was going on. I said, well, we haven't been down in a couple of years to check on it. So they're letting us know, we'll have somebody go down there and look at it.
That's what they told me for the,
About 2-3 weeks ago.
yeah. And I've been talking to him. We're 3 weeks ago, he said they'll be down, and something came up, they didn't come down, so. I'm just wondering what we can do, because I mean, you know, it's a terrible in there.
Yeah.
I could only imagine what it's like inside.
Toby, let me just say, and it's kind of to your point, obviously, the properties that were south and west of Nancy Lopez Elementary
Yes.
probably had a lot of the same, somebody from Colorado owns it, they really not paying attention to what's going on until you guys actually go over and did what you did. And the cleanup and I give them a lot of credit for the cleanup they did there, because that place, I mean, the years I spent as a PE teacher over there on that playground watching that, but when we condemned the property to the west, there's so much of that stuff just came around and moved into that.
Across the street, yeah.
It was just ridiculous. So it's nice now. And it would be nice if and when we get the new Nancy Lopez built, that's going to happen. And we have the new active shooter program there at the Nancy Lopez Elementary School. And I think that the mayor's working on trying to get the state to actually put a trailer in there for someone to live on site, state police officer to live on site and and have that presence there as well with the school, but actually have somebody on the property. So that will help tremendously within that realm over there. So, but thank you guys.
Okay. Are you gonna make a motion as amended? Okay.
$24.
Second that?
Second, I'm sorry.
That's good to help you, bud.
Yeah.
Solution.
We have a motion and a second to amend the original ordinance change that was sent in. It's recorded by the clerk. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Being none, so moved.
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to further amend this by putting a 5-year moratorium on the sunset clause. And so we'll have a chance to reevaluate if this is working.
I have a motion and a second to amend the ordinance to put a 5-year sunset from the date of enactment.
And then, Ms. Irma, this would read in an amendment, section 2, period. This ordinance shall sunset 5 years from enactment, period. Section 2 is now section 3, section 4 is now section 2 is 3, 3 is 4, 4 is 5.
Yeah, we have 2 section 4s on there.
Yep. Now we're clean.
Now we're good.
Sometimes you can say district
Okay.
number to
So we
40.
have a motion.
Alderman, will it be referred to finance or will it just be amended?
We just send this on to you.
It should have a,
Open the floodgates.
it should have a positive effect on revenue, so we go to, it's,
Yes.
You won't be here to take care of it. No, don't tell me you're taking care of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna take care of it today,
Yeah,
and then he won't have to worry about it next week.
okay. Good. So we have a motion to include the sunset clause. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Being none, so moved. Now, you want
Mr. Chairman,
to clean this?
we forward ordinance 24XX, amending the city code. Does this have to be advertised?
yes.
Okay, to the next city council meeting for advertisement. And you put it on the consent agenda.
Yeah. Second?
Mhm.
All those in favor, any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same. And so moved. Now we move on to item 10, which is to consider and recommend approval of the city of East Saline at 418 South Cedar. I assume that's why you're here, Todd?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair, councilors. So I'm here today because the action requested is to consider recommending for the city to release a lien that's located at 418 South Cedar in the amount of $26,908.53 with a development agreement to Black Diamond Construction LLC, AKA Arturo Alvarado. So this property at 418 South Cedar had a condemned structure that was removed by the city in August of 2020. The owner at the time of the demolition had let the property also go into foreclosure and was nobody was ever able to contact him about the lien and never was able to talk to the individual. And I found out that it was foreclosed on and the whole thing went to tax auction then. So it was sold by the state. Black Diamond Construction has picked this up and now wants to get it back on the city tax rolls. And he's asking for lien forgiveness on this because it wasn't his debt. So the new property owner, like I said, wants us to release that lien with a development agreement The new proposed project is going to cost an estimated $160,000 and a new tax base estimated at about $1,300 annually versus the $68 it's generating as blank property right now. I did include visuals of the house plans that Black Diamond Construction sent over to us, along with the copy of the released tax lien because the taxes were paid. I will also let you know that this is the second home that this individual is doing under our lien forgiveness program. So I stand for any questions.
What is the term of this agreement?
Term on the agreement is 5 years. He has 5 years to build the home. He also has to have an surety bond or a collateral in place, which he provided last time, that covers the amount of the lien. I think he actually wound up putting he put his truck up as collateral, $85,000 Dodge against a $20,000 lien. He completed the home in under 2 years, showed me his certificate of occupancy, and now he's ready to do another one.
We're really hoping to get that truck.
But you gotta wait 5 years to get it, so that's
Made a city councilor trip.
a huge question why it needs to have a 5-year term. But be out here,
That's just how we've done it in the past. It could be 2, it could be 3.
yeah.
Part of it was during COVID that things got, that we extended them.
But not COVID now.
We can change that term. He was not even 6 months into it, and the price of OSB shot up from, up to $68 a sheet. And he called me and said, Mr. Todd, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm ready to put OSB on the house, but I can't afford it. And he said, we need to write an extension. And I'm like, well, you've got time. But thank you for letting me know. He was very attentive on that. And then still completed it in less than 2 years. So if we need to change that term, I'm sure he'll be agreeable with it, because we do have the ability to write an extension if there's something that happens. But if we give him a 2-year term and he hasn't even broke ground, then I would say he defaulted. But so far he's been good.
I'm just, you let things sit, and you let them sit, and you let them sit, and then you forget about them, and nothing happens. And that, the goal here is to turn a piece of property into a new tax base. And you don't want it sitting around forever. If he's serious about doing this, then unless there's some extenuating circumstances, but I see you've got a 3-year with a 1-year. Oh, yeah. I'd like to see it shorten these so we get some activity going.
Okay.
And I don't know whether that's a 2-year or whether you need to go back and talk to him, but.
Actually, council, so it is a 2-year and then it's 1 year's on mutual agreement. So it is a 2-year
It's
contract.
2-year.
Yeah.
Personally, it was 5 years. Okay.
I do have page 2 of A, Todd. I do read these things, just so you know.
Very good.
A, line 3, Black Diamond hereby agrees, Tom, you need to take the M off of there, it's just 2, complete.
Okay.
Assessor would be proud of you.
Well, no, I'm singing to the mayor's brother.
Was thinking you were thinking of the other Tom. Who asked for that?
Yeah, I did, thank you. There's nothing to say. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
He was aware of the lien when he brought the property.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. He still paid. Did he pay on that?
Satisfy the state tax.
Yeah. He paid,
That's our lien, right? So we have the authority.
Our lien will go away, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the problem is anybody who wants to do this, it's a big win for us because we really have, the state took away a good mechanism for us to ever go after this.
Their liens first, ours.
I have it down on my other spreadsheet, and I don't have that information included here, but I'm wanting to say he paid the whole tax portion of it off, and I want to say it was somewhere in the tune of 9,000 plus. So,
So he's got skin in the game.
Yeah, it's got a lot.
That helps that forgetfulness.
I think we can only get the truck though.
2 years if you don't extend it.
You get the skin?
Yeah, you get that too. You get it all back. Okay.
If you guys are dry in here, I'm gonna have to go to my meeting.
Pretty dry over here. Yes. Store operator.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, do a lot with Black Diamond, because they've been in the paper a lot. They were in the paper again this morning on another. Do we deal with them a lot as a contractor? I mean, they're, this morning was a big lien on a Don Willis house. I was wondering, and they're a reputable company, this Black Diamond Construction.
as far as my experience goes with dealing with them with the first property that they bought, he did everything that he was required to do, turned in his certificate of occupancy, like I said, in less than a 2-year time period. I have no issue with the construction of his homes or what he's done, and neither does the building department because he's passed all of his inspections. So anything else or any other trouble that he might have out there with other projects, I don't know.
I just wanted to know. Thank you.
We don't have any active contracts with them or anything.
No,
Yeah, I'd like
not that
to,
I'm aware of.
approve of the city to release a lien at 418 South Cedar, Roswell, New Mexico 88203, in the amount of $26,908.53 with the development agreement to Black Diamond Construction LLC, AKA Arturo Alvarado. Consent.
Second.
We had a motion and a second to approve the release of the lien at 418 South Cedar. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir. And I just want to make sure too, like, as word of this is getting out, I just want to make sure that we're following the right road on this. Because I've just sent out a whole new fresh batch of letters off of a whole bunch of our old liens where I know that the property has changed hands. So now we've notified the new property owner to be like, hey, just want to let you know, you may or may not be aware, there was a lien on this property. You bought it, you're the owner. You now have responsibility for this. And my main talk with them is, why did you buy it? And some people tell me, well, I just bought it to flip it. So again, those properties are probably going to be flipped over to another owner and the lien will stay there. But I've got some people that are going, well, what can I do? I bought it to build. Now, can I not build? And I'm like, no, you can build. We have a program. You're not the original lien holder on this. You bought it, you want to develop it, benefit back to the city if you do so. I just want to make sure that I'm still on the right road with this.
When they do that, doesn't the title company let them know there's a lien?
These are recorded liens.
They do know.
They do these outside of title if it's just Chad and I making a deal.
Yeah.
And there's nobody checking it.
Like that when you were.
Yeah, and there are cases where some of that has happened. There was one individual who bought a piece of property and the seller gave him a warranty deed. Well, as soon as he found out there was a lien on it, he made the phone call to the seller. I had to check the next day to pay off the lien because he knew that he was going to be in hot water selling that property with a warranty deed, knowing that there was a lien attached to it. So we get those monies back. So I'm just wanting to make sure that we're still moving the right direction on trying to You know,
I think anytime we can get some form of cost recovery, get the cost recovery of some magnitude.
yeah,
But then again, turn these so that it gets out of our inventory and gets onto something that's going to increase the tax roll. So,
yeah.
you know, you
This-
kind of take direction from city manager about where you need to be on some of these values, or how you communicate it to him. But I mean, if somebody got a $50,000 lien, if you can recover 5, so be it. You know,
Right,
or whatever. You guys are going to have to figure that out
okay,
see if there is some form of cost recovery. So.
okay.
Good. Yes, sir.
Yes, so the idea is that you can always recover, potentially get the cash in hand. But there's maybe an opportunity here to advertise to people that are in this situation. Say, look, you want to sign a development agreement, we will give you value at that aid. So long as you bring this property up to, what happened with the condition again. Because we can get like 6, 10, 12 grand, and we're happy, yes, but that property, then there's no push, there's no incentive on the new owner to actually do anything with it, and it will sit in a state of necessity, and being unused, and not really have any value on the tax roll. But it is a political / management decision to decide what, if any, value there is in the city to forego collecting on the lien in order to encourage people to develop the property to become more useful.
Well, I think that's one of those where you got to balance it out. What do I get for it versus what I don't get for it? And you got to balance that thing and say, well, they're going to build $200,000 piece, or construction cost of $200,000. I got a $15,000 lien. If they do 200,000, we get almost 3% GRT. There's $6,000 coming back to us. When they do that, property tax rolls, it'll come back. We won't get the lion's share. We get a small, minute part. So that's kind of the balancing act. If you think you can get some form of cost recovery, and it'll balance out over time to get it going.
So from a contractor or flipper or investor's perspective, then you're like, okay, it's definitely a lien on this, whether I need that or not. But if I know that I can, and I'm planning on flipping it anyway, or building this property, if I can get that 15,000 from the beginning, maybe a pure profit to that.
Right, I get it. But what you're gonna have to do is create that development agreement that
We have, it's just.
that doesn't allow that flipping to take place.
Well, the person buys, I mean, they ultimately get a use of occupancy, and then they're gonna sell the property at some.
And that's fine with us. I mean, it shouldn't matter to us at that point in time,
After they get a certificate.
because now you've just improved the place and.
We're done. I want to sell it to the house. Then that's my business as the contractor.
Right, and he's fulfilled his obligation by building or resurrecting a new piece of, or a new home on there, or whatever needs to be done to get it to a level of occupancy. And we're happy from the fact that we've got it off our rolls and created for a higher tax base on that piece of property, assuming the assessor goes around and does something to assess that.
Like Diamond, they're not gonna move into this house.
He's gonna flip it or sell it.
He's gonna sell
Flip
it.
it. He's gonna sell that business he's in, I think.
But Black Diamond is one of the few people in my experience that's actually taking advantage of this opportunity of signing development agreements. I think there's one other group, and perhaps, but I just don't know that they can do that as far as.
That gets back to the land, the scale. Okay, he's getting 26,000, whatever it is, 26.9. But we're improving the neighborhood. We're getting long-term payout, very long-term on property tax, because we get just a little sliver of that activity. But the other people that get a bigger cut of the action is the county and the school district. So if you say me too many times, then, and not consider the other players that are involved, then, I mean, I hear what you're saying. But if I can get this blighted piece of property back on the tax rolls and help everybody in the mix, you know, I think it's a good deal. I think it's gonna have to be evaluated on a property by property basis. You just can't have a carte blanche. Okay, come see me. I got this property with a $50,000 lien on it. Come on in. I'll make the first 50,000 donation to your company. It gets dicey, but for less than, or right around 225,000, I don't know where that line is, but there's certainly additional considerations as you go up the scale.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what he's getting is maybe Todd can, between, if we pass the $24 permit and then this, we can advertise. I don't know if you want to advertise the tax lien thing, but
The development agreement is just something that doesn't seem to be well known about. And the purpose of it is to get things back on the tax rolls quickly, in a few years, as opposed to investors' tendency on Sky Albuquerque, buy a property, let it sit. Oh, look, they grab that property, let it sit. They grab that property. And, maybe we get a lien on it, maybe we don't, maybe we got a fight for it. But now, the alternative, we sit there and you say, look, we're going to incentivize you to do something with it quickly. And get it back on tax roll, help restore the neighborhood, prevent, squatting issues that create all sorts of, criminal activities. It's just a sort of more, holistic.
But when he sends his letters out letting people know there's a lien, he can include that information. Hey,
Well, these are property that the city owns. They're not,
oh,
This one, the city does not own it
how do we get our lien on there for 26,000?
because we had to demo the house that the man let go into a condemned state. He didn't do anything about it when we
We
notified him.
never perfected our lien. We just let the lien sit and
But no, I,
perfected a lien, but we didn't foreclose on the lien.
Foreclosure money, which we always have the option of doing, but
Right.
it's not legally trivial. Done a few, like Parker Patterson did a few, but they are, it requires a lot to stakeholders and.
Yeah.
now I have had folks where I send out a notice of lien to a new owner and they're like, no way. I bought this property to flip it. I paid $1,000 for it or whatever, and I was just gonna resell it. But if I'm on the hook for 26,000, can I just deed it over to the city in lieu of having to pay this lien? Yes, we will take that. Now I'll put it in our inventory. Now we've got that lien somewhat extinguished as a piece of property. Now we can go through the appraisal process and resell it for somebody who's looking for development. So, like I said, the other part of this, when I first started this program 5 years ago, they calculated the estimated GRT, like you said, from the cost to build, what gets put on the tax rolls, plugging them back into city water, sewer, sanitation, all of that. Then the other part that we can't actually calculate is the uncalculable GRT that happens through neighborhood stabilization, because you take a vacant lot, now you put a brand new home there, everybody goes, well, I don't want my house to be the ugliest house on the street. We want our property values to increase, so they fence, grass, driveway, roof, paint, whatever, and that's all money locally spent that we get more money on. And so that helped, all of that uncalculated GRT goes back to the initial cost of the lien. Through the process of releasing it, we get paid back, number one, like you said, over the lifetime of the house, tax roll, all that other stuff, but the rest of it comes into play too. So we do wind up getting our money back because the old way of doing that was, well, if you want to build on that property, sir, you got to pay us 26,000. And he'll be like, well, I'll just buy the lot next to it that doesn't have a lien on it and I'll build there. And then we still are just stuck with this. And after a period of time, somebody can come after the lien has extinguished. They can just come and ask us to release it, and we don't have a choice because we didn't foreclose or take any action on it. So at some point, they all go away anyhow.
You can refile those liens.
No, not without new cost.
It's a statute of limitation.
What's the limit on them? 7, 10?
No, it's a 4-year statute of
Hmm?
limitation. It's a 4-year statute of limitation.
Wow,
Pretty short time frame.
that's a real short time frame.
And I think, Councilor House went into Councilor. This isn't offered to everybody. This would be like, there has to be somebody who knows the property, maybe put eyes on the property. This is a candidate to maybe do that as opposed to this is a lost cause and there's no point in trying to do this at all.
I'm not sure that doesn't happen whenever you first get the lien and then you don't perfect that lien.
You only perfect the liens. It's just that there's a statute of limitations to enforce that lien. And so in order to enforce that lien, and then there are other lien holders and then other attorneys get involved in the courts and it takes, like,
Well,
is it worth it? $6,000.
you're at an insult to injury because you're
So
investing
not
more.
worried to do all of this.
Yeah. To go through the legal process costs you more money.
I mean, a couple of things that I think is going right is, you're putting a $24 price on an initial permit for somebody who wants to fix the condemned home. So there's less of them for us to potentially demo, which would be less for us to potentially lien. So I think that's definitely moving in the right direction. And, having a program like that, like if you're not I do have several people who are original lien holders who are making payments because they don't want to lose their property. They couldn't save the house, but it's a family property. They want to keep it. So they're making payments. So we are getting back for some of those. But the rest of these folks, when I send letters out, because I know it changed ownership, they're like, well, what can I do? And I'm like, well, you can do a development agreement with us and build, or you can make payments on it, or you can turn it over to us. And then, so those are the three choices. But the fourth one that I don't mention is sell it, put it under somebody else's name, and let that be their problem. But I don't recommend that.
No,
Yeah, no, go beyond that. So
that's bad advice.
You didn't hear that one, did you?
recommend.
None of us heard that.
So, thank you.
We got the motion on the table in a second, so all those in favor, saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Being the sum of the item number 11. Mr. Franco.
Here. Properties on here. All three of these had significant fire damage. The first one, 1111 West Stone. We have talked to the property owner and we have him in court right now for cleanup of the property. So he's making progress there. So first, the second one, 111, I'm sorry, East Summit. This property, we have had no contact with anybody. This one did suffer a lot of fire damage. There was, this house has been vacant for a while. So there were people in there and the house started on fire with candles. That's part of the day and it's open to the public. Go on. Board that one up if I can get a hold of the property owner. And then the last one, 302 and 304 West Wilding. This house, they have pulled a permit and they are in the process of bringing this one back up to code.
Good.
These three went before the public safety meeting last Tuesday. It was recommended over here to legal and it passed 5-0. Staff for questions.
What did you say on the 111 East Summit? What's going on there? No, what was that name under?
It is under Robert Boss and Lisa Boss.
Okay. Robert passed away a few months ago, so, yeah.
But I think this might be his dad, because his dad's name is Robert too.
Oh, not sure on that.
Yeah, but that one, it's been vacant for a while. But I still haven't had anybody come in and inquire about it.
So how long do we wait on that, Toby, if we don't get a hold of anybody?
Since it's open to the public like that and it's been a nuisance, a problem, we just like try to secure it right away.
Other questions? Whose turn is it?
Come on. Oh, no, it's yours.
Make up your mind.
You gotta earn some money too.
Hey, I'm on here enough. I earned my paycheck today. Mr. Chairman, I move that we send this proposal to the city council. I'll get there in a minute. I'm getting all this help, and it's not very helpful.
Consent.
For removal, demolition of 3 dilapidated structures on the consent.
Thank you, Counselor.
Second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Being none, so moved. Item number 12, which is page 99. Sure.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask questions.
You can ask whatever you would like there, Counselor.
Well, 13 and 14 are the same thing, just different.
Different.
Could we,
12, 13, 14, yeah.
and let's, page 16, yeah.
Yeah, so 12, 13, 14, 16 are all identical minus,
Okay, so let me,
You're right.
if they could be held, you could hear them all
yeah.
for referral purposes.
And you want 4 different motions?
I think you can make one motion. We'll just have to, if it comes to public hearing, that has to be.
You'll have to go to public hearing, so.
Right, but so you could put these on consent. We'll just have to have 4 separate public hearings, but they can all be moved as one item.
To move it forward.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Go right ahead there, Counsel.
Whatever, somebody. I got an idea of what it is, but
So the city has an exclusive right to collect solid waste within the city limits. Process, the statute authorizes it to some limits. That's what's described in the ordinance. So we had 4 businesses that would like to have a non-exclusive franchise within the city to collect solid waste. And those are J&J Rentals, Canadian Trash, Southwest Reclamation, and Clean Haul LLC. Process is, this is a recommendation authorized to advertise to pass ordinance to allow before separate ordinances, but all of these things include to collect solid waste within the city limits. And there's a collection agreement that comes out of this that will be negotiated and signed once if the ordinance is passed.
okay, what's the limitations? I mean, this is kind of a roll-on, roll-off kind of thing, or?
The limitations as currently envisioned are 20 yards, I think in the actual ordinance, it's a 20-yard roll-off sort of thing. It does stipulate in the collection agreement 10-yard or 20-yard and or commercial residential, thinking somebody doing a major construction project, roll on like this. City, I think, also offers a competing service for this. This week's solid waste department is November, backed up a bit.
Yeah, so back to
Overwhelmed with But the idea here is to allow citizens to have alternative ways to collect all of it.
I think you have what, 60 roll-offs?
We're on 70. We just ordered 5 more.
And the city collects 70% franchise fee for all of the things.
That's where the money's at.
Now, under this ordinance, I did see where we could share resources. That's, in other words, they couldn't borrow one of our roll-offs.
I don't think that's an issue at all. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Okay, I'm just asking the question. I know what I think, but I just want to verify. Okay.
Plus we get the GR2, we get it, it's not a bad deal for us.
No, it's not.
Because like you say, your backlog, and if we want to take care of that backlog, and who knows how long the backlog will exist, the cost of us getting in another truck or roll-offs, investment would be heavy.
Well, and there's nothing that says we ever have to contract these guys in the first place.
We don't contract with them necessarily. They are contracted by businesses.
Well, the thing is, there's nothing that says, there's no requirement that I read in this packet of stuff that suggested that there was any guarantee that they'll get any work. I mean,
It's non-exclusive.
okay, I'm good.
Any other questions?
One other question. Now, if they contact the city and they say, are you behind? Where can we help you out? Are we going to allow that or no?
So usually what happens right now, because we are so far behind, is if I get a call from a customer asking to rent a roll-off, I inform them, unfortunately, right now, we're looking about early November right now before I'll have any available. If you need one right now, I'll list off all of our franchisees, because we currently have 4, we're adding 4 more, and they have their choice if they want to go with them or if they want to wait.
Okay, thank you.
Catch on pretty quick. Hey, he and I are buddies.
Whoa, I'm not gonna say anything.
That's a beating stick.
You don't want me to say what I'm thinking. So.
It's a recorded meeting, so
I know.
whatever you're brave enough to do.
No, I'm not. I just know what was said at one council meeting 3 years ago about new counselors.
No.
He's not on probation. I didn't put him, did I ever put you on probation? No.
Oh, Miss Rita.
Mr. Chairman, what public hearing be on these?
Probably be,
November.
it'll be the November council meeting.
You
Council.
to stay to go to the council meeting to talk about this.
Yes.
It's nothing like the workshop or at a different.
It'll be a council meeting, regular schedule. Council meeting date and time, which will be, I don't have my calendar, but it will be second Thursday in November at 6 p.m.
That's when the public hearing would be.
That's a public hearing.
The first reading is on the 10th of October.
Question. Did Josh answered my question, but I want to make sure it gets in here because on number 9, page 106, and number 9A, B, and number 11, it says the director of sanitation may temporarily. Is there anybody else that they can appeal to except the director? Josh said, well, everybody always has a boss. Isn't that correct, Josh? And therefore, but it doesn't say in here, it just says the director. Can we put in the director and then some city?
It goes from the director to the city manager.
Yes. In here.
That's another.
Suspend.
That's in another section of ordinance. And Chad, you correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty standard. If you get the wrong answer or an answer you don't like from any director on any subject, it comes into your lap, right?
Like direct the directors.
But it doesn't state it here.
If you, Rita, I would like to suggest that if you put that in every one of these sectors, we're gonna kill that many more trees. So we put it over here saying appeal process or however, wherever it's stuck. This is the procedure that you have to follow. And it's a blanket policy and it doesn't matter. They will be told if they want to ask the question, who do they appeal this to? They'll be told, go see Mr. Cole,
And, okay, who will tell them?
the director.
And you're sure the director will tell them that?
Well, he better.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's clear that there is a chain of command. If they don't like what the director says or the director is going to do, they know that they're going to be told that they can go to the city manager. And then if they don't like what the city manager says, they're done. Okay.
Well, except I guess if they feel aggrieved enough, they can go to district court, maybe, I don't know.
Just want to make sure that there's a for people if they get sideways with the director. Because it says here, only the director of sanitation, the director. Nobody else doesn't say.
Somebody's got to be in charge, Robert. Somebody's got to be in charge. And so that's the first person in charge because these are agreements that fall under the city solid waste department. And if you will notice there that if they don't like it, there's a section under there where notices where they will send their notice to the city manager. So there is their notification right there that they know what to do. So, yeah, so there is that section. If they don't agree with whatever's been told, they to ask Mr. Cole and send him notification. So, that answer your question?
Surely does.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send items 12, 13, 14, 16, dealing with granting franchise to J&J Reynolds, Allen Trash, Southwest Reclamation, and Clean Hall LLC to the city council, advertise for public hearing and put that on the consent agenda.
You got it. So a motion and a second to place those items 12, 13, 14, and 16 on the consent agenda to advertise for public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, being none, so moved. That concludes today. Now I will ask for any reports or announcements need to be made. City staff? Good to go. Okay.
Okay, this for some information notified this morning from Ms. Sandra, the emergency manager. She had applied for a state homeland security grant program. We were notified this morning that we did receive a grant for $258,000 for police department group, crime center, $15,000 for election security, and $50,000 for IT.
Ms. Anderson did a great job. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, Mike. That's great news. And please come back here. If it has already been paid. That's awesome. Any other comments? Public comments?
I got a correction from our special meeting to make on the sanitation side. So I had misspoken saying that our rates were higher than Alamogordo's. They are in fact lower. I'll explain. The city follows your winter average. So that would be about 7,000 gallons for the average consumer in Roswell. Alamogordo follows a 90% of that month rule. So if we were to apply that to the city of Roswell, the 12-month average is about a little over gallons. And so you would actually be taking 90% of that, which gets you to 10,000, making it is actually about 30% more expensive. The current rate structure is. As wastewater.
Any public comment? Being none, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Real quick. Mr. Lewis,
Sir.
on